All right, you guys, this is a big one. This is something that just dropped. I have got confirmation. I've got all the sources. This one you guys are going to need to send out because with all the fury that we saw, all the talks about SIG going down and doing these things, 320 did this, 320 did that. This is another very important part of this saga. And my whole stance this entire time is we need more information, whether it leads in the good direction or the bad direction. This is a big one because the Air Force has now reissued all the M18's it had prior withdrawn. This is a big one. In fact, the things that they uncovered here, I'm going to dive into right now. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, because every single time that you do, you literally make gun controllers cry, and who doesn't want that? And plus, you get to help me get to 600,000 subs. Thank you guys so much in advance for that. As you get in here, audio, video looks good over here. Excellent. Let's hit it. All right. So this is probably going to be a quicker video, so make sure you guys send this one out. But hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn everything on. Audio, video is amazing. This is the report from Stars and Stripes. I'm going to show you everything right now. It's going to be all linked. And follow me on X at Braden LOA. All right, guys, listen. As you guys are filtering in, we get enough people in here. I just want to say a little disclaimer right off the bat. I am not affiliated with SIG in any way, shape, or form. I am not pro 320. I am not anti 320. I want to get to the bottom of any issue that could resolve. I want it repeatable. I want this to be solved, put away, put to bed for the betterment of the consumer base level we have in the United States. That is the whole reason I'm covering this. I have not gone down the road of burn SIG to the ground, and I have not gone down the road of hail SIG because they're incredible. I have been as objective as I can, and no matter how objective I am, I always get people in the comments that say I'm being biased in one direction or the other. I'm trying to be as objective as I can, but it's important that you guys know all these pieces. And as a side note, any creator, one of my peers, that went very quickly to the incident in the Air Force that killed the airman as the gun went off, the gun killed it, SIG killed him. There's a lot of developments on that, and this is another notch in that belt. You might want to do an update video just to clear the air. Not saying good or bad or indifferent. I'm just saying in general, you need to have both sides of the coin on this one to be objective. All right, let's keep on going in. Enough of you guys are in here. Make sure you send this one out. This is from Stars and Stripes. Hold on a second. I got everything out. Oh, Lord, I'm going to reload that. Hold on a second. The website, of course. Are you kidding me right now? Now Stars and Stripes goes out. Goodness gracious. There we go. Okay, we're good. We're good, people. Calm down. All right. I think we're good. If my net, there we can get rid of that. Sorry, it was working until I hit the refresh button. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm just going to keep on refreshing the page. There we go. Oh my gosh, in heaven, what is happening right now? So bottom line, guys, as I'm trying to figure this out, I'm going to go big screen while I do this because it's annoying watching all the flashing. So effectively, the news that I'm about to bring you, and there's some really important stuff on this document, so I really want it to come up. The news that I'm about to bring you is incredibly pertinent to the information of which we are bringing. I swear to God, I'm just going to do this. Because the Air Force has now reissued all the M18's or all the SiG p320's back to their soldiers, okay? That is a very important part of the story because if you recall, I swear to God, if this thing does not load while I'm doing this, I'm going to be so irritated. As you'll recall, we had a scenario where the general on the base and in the entire Air Force pulled all of them and was looking into them for review of what is actually happening. I swear, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be so annoyed. All right, I think we're in. Yeah, we are. I'm going to do this quick. Okay. So here's the deal. Here's the story. I'm just going to read it, and then I'll do, because the internet's being wonky. Air Force Global Strike Command clears the M18's pistol return to duty. As you can see right there, August 25th is when this was released. That is today, okay? This is the important piece of we need to get all the information. If there's a problem, which it seems very unlikely, there's too many issues where there wouldn't be a problem. If there's an issue or a problem, we got to get to the bottom of it. If there's not, we got to get to the bottom of that. Bottom line, we got to get answers, right? That's the whole thing. This comes down to trust and confidence. Now, as we continue here, let me show you a few points. It's going to be half and half. I don't want to mess with it because it's going to be weird. But listen to this. Air Force Global Strike Command is returning the M18 pistol to duty after pausing use of the firearm for more than a month following the shooting death of a security forces airman, service officials announced Monday. That's today, okay? Remember, They pulled them out of circulation because there were reports that the gun was involved in a negligent discharge, which led to the death of an individual in the Air Force. Now we know, after reporting about a week, 2 weeks later, that someone was arrested on the airbase because there was someone else in there for charges like involuntary manslaughter and obstruction of justice, which would indicate there was a human involved. Okay? The stories are always developing. That's why I'm really cautious. I didn't dive deep into this issue from a burn SIG to the ground because I didn't have enough information to do so. And this position that I'm in is very responsible. It's a lot of responsibility. Okay? So, excuse me. Let's get in here. General Thomas Bussiere, who leads Global Strike Command, signed off on the return to duty for most of the command's SiG Sauer-made sidearms after a weeks-long inspection, this is key, of all of its 7,970 M18's, the command said in a statement. So that's 8,000 Model 18's. Now, what they found is really important to this story, so bear with me as I get to it. Quote, "It is paramount that our airmen trust their weapon systems," Bussiere said in a prepared statement. "This thorough inspection ensures the M18s in our inventory are in optimal working order, provided our security forces defenders with safe, reliable, and effective systems to accomplish their mission." Now, I think that is 1,000% the correct move. If there is a question in a piece of equipment that our military is using, our soldiers, they need to be fully pulled and fully investigated. Excellent move. Full accreditation for the right decision on that. That is the right decision. Now, listen to what they said because they've reissued them. Okay, listen to this. The numbers really are an interesting story. Bussiere ordered the pause in the use of the M18s after 21-year-old Airman Braden, a security forces specialist at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming, was fatally shot by another airman on July 20. That's the first time they've said he was shot by another airman on July 20. Prior, it was involuntary manslaughter and it was obstruction of justice. Now, they are openly saying fatally shot by another airman on July 20. That is a completely and totally different story than what was pushed out across all spectrums that the gun negligently discharged and killed somebody. I want to get to the bottom of this. I'm not pro-SIG, I'm not anti-SIG. I'm not paid by them, I am not affiliated with them. I am not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form, nor any of their competitors, which puts me in a very good objective position to report on this. That's a different story and the third different mutation of this story. That's why this is so key. Investigators were initially concerned an M18 had discharged without its trigger being pulled, a rare occurrence known as an uncommanded discharge. You guys know all about those things, okay? And I'm loving the emojis and all the comments. I thank you. SiG Sauer has long argued that none of its weapons are capable of firing on their own. You guys know that. Listen to the numbers that are coming here in a second. But the company said it would support the military investigations into the M18's safety. Again, the proper solution. SiG has had a PR debacle with this whole thing. In this one individual case, nothing of the other ones, this is the right answer. Provide the answers, provide the equipment, provide the expertise, and allow time for the military to do it out of your control. That's the right answer. SiG has supplied the military with M18s and their full-size versions M17s since winning a contract in 2017 to replace the decades-old M9 pistol built by Beretta. Air Force investigators, this is a key point because remember what the initial reporting was and the fury that took off with it. Air Force investigators appear to have ruled out an uncommanded discharge. That did not happen in Lovin's death. On August 8, the service announced an airman had been arrested in the case and charged with making false statements, obstructing justice, and involuntary manslaughter. All of which I reported right here for you guys. Officials also said a thorough review of the M18 discharges across Global Strike Command showed none had occurred without a trigger pull. That this is one case, this is isolated, this is a sample size of 8,000. I cannot tell you there is not a problem. I can't tell you there is a problem. But what I can tell you is what is happening right now in this Air Force report is they are finding no issues with uncommanded discharges. The individual of which it was assumed and then went with kind of like a wildfire on the internet was that the gun fired itself and killed an airman, which it did not do. They just said right here, they ruled it out, and they said that they arrested a 20-year-old for the involuntary manslaughter and lying to the police, okay, obstruction of justice. Here's where the numbers come in, and this is the part that we need to focus on. We want to get down to the brass tacks of what went wrong. This is how you do it right here, and I will catch up with the chats in a second. Thank you for the emojis and the chats. This is amazing. See, right there, interstellar surfer, somebody got paid. I cannot change your mind on that. I'm just telling you what the military is reporting. This isn't from SIG, this is from military. You decide what you want to decide. Okay. The inspection of Global Strikes Command M18's, which later expanded to all of the Air Force's about 125,000 M18 pistols, did find issues with some of its sidearms, service officials said, and this is where we can glean the information. This is key. This is on a sample size of no longer 8,000, now of 125,000. This is what we need, hard data sets to figure out what the problem is. Safety and trust is paramount in this scenario. That's why this is so key, okay? Inspections found problems with 191 of the command's M18s, most of which were problems with component wear. Boom! Ding, ding, ding. Look there. Look right freaking there. Component wear. If you are having reports of uncommanded discharges and you can't figure out what's causing them from a SIG perspective, right? Now you have more data that says component wear is leading to some kind of thing happening. We're narrowing down the focal field. We're now narrowing down where the issue is. That is what has to happen for the safety and the trust of the public. That's why this is so key. I'm going to say that 100 times because it's important. According to the Air Force, again, not SIG, the Air Force, most of the issues were related to wear on the M18's safety levers, on their striker assemblies, and on their sears. Now, right now, Curtis from VSO Gun Channel is hearing that word sears, and he's already priming up the video because he had, I will tell him and give him full credit, he had a inkling and a suspicion that it had a problem to do with the sears and through wear. Full credit to Curtis. I don't even know if he said that on a video. I will give full credit to him. He told me that at least once. This is something that we can narrow it down. This is what we need. But again, I want to repeat that. Component wear, most of the issues on 191 of these models out of 125,000 were on the safety levers, the striker assemblies, and on their sears. That is 3 areas we can now look at. That is key and important. Okay? Weapons, and this is the red part's coming up. This is a very important piece to this. Weapons exhibiting these discrepancies were immediately tagged and are undergoing necessary repairs, the service said. Now, here is what I mean by this piece. Thank you very much, Single Shot, for the super chat, $1.99. This is what I mean by figuring out the bottom line and getting to the root cause of the issue. If this is what the Air Force is doing, and they found no issues in the 8,000, and then they found 191 issues due to component wear inside a sample size of 125,000, and they're replacing them through undergoing necessary repairs, that means that a problem has been identified, and now it is narrowing down, and it can be fixed. That's the point. And I'm not going to tell you to go buy a SiG 320 or an M18. I'm not going to tell you any of those things. But what I am telling you is we've gone from a macro SiG hates everything and SiG knows that it's going to kill people, which is, I think, a little extreme. Now we're getting into a realm of product wear. Now it's individual 3 items, and now they're being replaced. You're starting to see the answers being divulged. That's the whole point. Let's get to the red, though, because this is an important aspect. The command, this is the general, the command is adding enhanced inspection procedures for its M18 inventory, which will include new inspection criteria for those parts of the M18 found to wear the fastest. There's more confirmation of product wear. Okay? That's the Lieutenant Colonel from the Air Force Global Strike Command's Security Forces commander. By incorporating these added measures, we assess that any issue found with the safety lever, striker assembly, and sear will be identified during semi-annual and annual inspections, he said. As we execute M18 inspections in the future, we will be taking a particular interest in these components to ensure these methods address the issues we found and make adjustments as needed. Guys, let me translate that into real-world speak for you. They have now taken a massive sample size. They have found the individual issues that are doing it. They've pulled all of them, so it's not like a random point. They found that component wear was a symptom that was causing issues with 3 individual parts, and now they're adding more inspection areas and timeframes on a biannual basis on those individual pieces. If you think about this in a visual representation, it's gone from this all the way down to a fine-tuned point. They're now adding more inspections, they're adding replacement parts, and they're fixing those parts. The big thing here is the bottom line is it's being honed out. This is how you find it, by taking such a huge sample size. And again, they arrested the guy who shot the other airman. This was not a negligent discharge, but they took the right actions and they're getting to the bottom of it. That's what I need to see. Not SiG, the military. I'm talking about the military right now, the Air Force. Quote, when we see a potential issue, we have a responsibility to our airmen and the American public to evaluate, find any discrepancies and act on them, Bussiere said. That's the general. Abso-freaking-lutely they do. And they did the right thing on this. Not SiG, the Air Force. They pulled everything immediately. They went into full investigation mode. They found 191 pieces out of 125,000. They narrowed that down to what the issue was, and it looks like wear and tear product wear. And now they're adding more inspections and they're replacing the parts. Boom, we just figured it out. That's the important piece to this. Again, I'm not on Team SiG. I'm not on Team Anti-SiG. I'm on Team Public Safety. I'm on Team Public Confidence. I'm on Team Protect Ourselves with our gun rights. But this is why I never jumped into the entire burn the whole building down, because we didn't have enough information. Simply, we didn't have enough. And now we are getting more and more and more information. And I think we're getting pretty close. But I'm going to keep on following this. I got some super chats right here. Oh, that's a good one right there. $2 super chat from a Howard to Cable says, sounds like a heat treat issue. It could totally be. I'm not couching myself as the expert in this case. I am merely reporting what's happening, and I'm adding my commentary to that reporting. But what do you guys think over here in the chat? Do you think that this is a good thing that the military has done? Do you think this is the right decision? I want to know what you guys think right over there as I read a few of these. Jump in there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But one of the super chats, or excuse me, one of the chats over here from Chris Bayes, this is actually a very good one. Sounds like they found a 1 in 1,000 failure rate. That still sounds like a high failure rate. You know what's interesting about that, Chris? God, this is why I love these chats over here, guys, because you are so on it. The whole point to this is in the math, in the statistics of what is the fail rate. 1 in 1,000. So I mean, like if I just did this real quick, I don't think it's not gonna mess me up. So I had 195. I'm just going to do this while you guys are chatting anything in, if you want to chat anything. 125,000. This is actually really interesting, and I'll do a follow-up video on this because it correlates with some other data I did. 195 units out of 125,000 is 0.001%. What's really fascinating is the document that is reportedly from the SiG document from one of the court cases. It actually had an expected lifetime failure rate on that document they reported, I have not seen it from the court, of 0.001 to 0.001. I mean 0.001 to 0.01% sometime in the life of the product. That is actually very interesting, and I will do a follow-up on that and some more breakdown. But I think that's very interesting. All right, let me jump over here in the chat. Someone says something I want to hit on. Dragon Rider 13 said this is not a good thing. Dragon, I'm not saying the gun failing is a good thing. What I'm saying is we're finding out what the issue is. That's the good thing. The whole point is to figure out what the problem is. If there's a problem, we find it. The military just added a lot of pieces to this, which add to the data. That's the good thing. The good thing is not that they're doing one thing or the other. The good thing is we're getting more data. That's the whole thing. Mike says 199 super chat. Keep up the great work, Braden. Thank you, Mike. Gardens Manor says gun parts wear out. They're notorious for it. They are notorious for it. That's very true. All right, here we go. This is a good chat. I like. God, you guys are on it. I love your chats. From let's just say Ray's Astronaut. I'm torn. It seems that SiG is right that mechanically the P320 is safe, but there have been many other reports, rumors, and ex-employee testimony. Absolutely, that is part of the conversation. I'm not going to tell you those are invalid. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be extremely objective to this whole thing. Right now, I've only waited for actual data points and actual articles and actual reports from the military to bring forward as part of the conversations. I'm really trying to stay objective, not go one way or the other, because like I said, I'm in a good position to do that with no ties to any of it. All right. Facts are always good. Yep, Shane, they are. Shane also says, you got to join the Second Press because the Second Press is the best $10 you're ever going to spend. Second Press is my website, the movement that we are joining. We are going to defeat Those pesky gun controllers, once and for all, relegate them to the dustbin of history, mostly through new technology approaches and sending them away in a amazing chorus of laughter at their failures as patriots. All right, that's what it's secondpress.co. I'd love to have you over there. So Chris says, damn, what did I miss? Yeah, I can't do another 19-minute video recap. But yeah, so guys, that's where we are currently sitting. Michael says, I still daily carry with my M18 and a trigger-covered Kydex with retention. Watching on my walk around Bellevue, Washington, love it. Awesome, that's amazing. Cozen says, it's good they identified the problem, I guess. Still would never buy one, could never trust it. And that's a valid part of this conversation. I think that is valid. This all comes down at the end of the day to the individual buying that gun and the trust in that platform. That's where it goes down. It doesn't matter if a YouTuber does something. It doesn't matter if I say something. What it matters is your belief in that product. That is paramount. And I think that this article, which is linked in the description box below from Stars and Stripes right here, is a great place to get some data and get some really good starting points to figure out what's going on. But it looks like the military has chalked this one up very thoroughly, and they have basically said it looks like it's component wear on 195 units out of 125,000. There's 3 individual parts they've identified. They are doing increasing testing and increasing overview, and they're replacing parts that fail. That's a pretty good buttoned up job from the military. Now we see where else, but everything will be linked in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoyed this surprise video. I didn't expect to do it, but I hope you enjoyed every moment of it. I love each and every one of you just the right amount that makes you feel comfortable, and I will see you tomorrow when we continue to grind for freedom and, make gun controllers cry.